Have you ever watched or felt a relationship go ice cold? A dream job turn just into a paycheck? Or that special sparkle or shine in someone just kind of lose it overnight? It's not bad luck. It's a brutal truth that what you don't value vanishes. What you don't appreciate depreciates. Hello and welcome in. My name is Matty, bringing a unique, one-of-a-kind, divine, elevated style and grace to elevate this YouTube space. And in this video, we're going to be breaking down how what you don't appreciate depreciates, and certain fundamental ways and concepts for you to fight against this and avoid it from happening. So that being said, let's get back into the video and give you some of these gems, and be sure to stick around to the end. Let's go. Now, if you've ever had any of those experiences that I've mentioned happen in your life or even in someone else's life around you, first, we must define certain aspects of what we're going to be getting into on this video. Appreciation can come in many different forms. It can be in a form of validation or recognition for what you do, what you've done, what you give, or even as simple as something that you may purchase, like a car, a house, clothing, shoes, whatever it may be. But you show a little bit more love, a little bit more gratitude, a little bit more value, a little bit more care for the things that you have. And this could come in both physical and emotional forms. And when it comes to the depreciation of life, it's when you kind of lose that, in a lot of times, emotional value towards something, which then leads to the physical discrepancy that you will experience. It's like when you have love for someone and then it just slowly starts to fade away. It's like when you start to wake up getting excited for your job every day, and then that excitement just kind of wears off. A lot of times in the depreciation that differs a lot from appreciation, it's much more emotionally based. Now that we kind of ironed out those details, let's jump into the first portion of this video. And what better way to break into it than relationships? Now, whether it's romantic or whether it's like a platonic relationship, which is just a friendship with somebody with no expectations, no sex expectations. If you don't appreciate that person, chances are you're going to experience some turbulent times in your relationship. Especially if it is in a physical relationship, the feeling of becoming distant is something that I feel a lot of us know all too well. Even if you're in the same room with that person, no words have been spoken, but you can just feel the air and how heavy it is. And friendships die out too. Don't get it twisted. A lot of times when a friendship is one-sided, chances are that friendship is not going to last too long, because the person that is always putting in more and not getting more out is eventually going to do what any sane person would do and just kind of walk away. Not with any hate, not with any malice, not with any discouragement, but rather just because it's not worth it anymore. Now, on occasion, some friends may communicate, clear the air a little bit, try to come to a resolve. But in this case, in this video, we're going to allow the depreciation of that relationship kind of speak for itself. I've had times and moments in my own life where there were people that I was with every single week, week in and week out, multiple days, whether I was working 2 jobs, recording music, no matter what it was. And then over the course of time, I found myself less and less invested and involved in these relationships. And it wasn't because I didn't have love for them or they didn't have love for me. Just all of a sudden, the absence became normal. And if you saw my video last week on negative self-talk not being normal, it just seems that way. That's kind of like the same thing in this video right here. That absence just becomes normalized. And a lot of times there are some silent questions that not a lot of people end up asking. But I guess at the end of the day, in a lot of situations, it ends up just being, it is what it is. Now, I don't want to harp too much on the relationship, so I think that's good enough, and we'll move on into something even more relatable, which is career and those colleagues that you got, your work friends. Now, when you keep showing up to a job, just like a relationship, when you keep putting in all this effort and all this time, all this energy, and you just get no more or less than what you've always got, what's your incentive for sticking around? A lot of times, even if you don't get a thank you or get acknowledged, it just ends up feeling expected, which can then lead to feeling drained. And I know a lot of people out there probably feel the same way. We've all had that one boss, that one manager, that one supervisor that never showed appreciation and always ends up losing their strongest employees. And when someone continues to lose their best people, I think that's a red flag that they may not be appreciating these people, which then depreciates the output. That's why work relationships, personal relationships, even relationships with yourself, which is the most important one out there, once you stop appreciating all those little things that you used to do, the little conversations, the little positive actions, if we're talking about yourself, taking better care of who you are physically, mentally, emotionally. Once you start neglecting these parts, all of a sudden, you know what they say, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. The only problem is, if there's no one around to grease those wheels, what's gonna happen? They're gonna rust, they're gonna fall off. And that leads me to the next example. Not that you need too many more. Have you ever bought a new car, or new to you, maybe a new pair of shoes, a new shirt, just something physical that you loved very much and were a little bit attached to and even borderline protective over at times? What happens in most cases is that things, once again, just become normalized. All of a sudden, you get that first scratch on the car, you stop taking as good of care as you used to. All of a sudden, you have your fresh white on whites and you get a scuff. All of a sudden, you don't take care of them the same way you used to. Drop your phone on the ground, you get a little crack in the screen. All of a sudden, you don't take care of it like you used to. And the more that you don't take care of these things, the more they will depreciate over time. And sometimes a lot quicker before your eyes than you would have thought or imagined. Now, I mentioned one of the most powerful parts of appreciation and depreciation, which I'm not sure many of you may have caught on to, but I mentioned the relationship that you have with yourself. Self-appreciation is necessary when you are trying to build a better life, to be happier, more fulfilled, more courageous, more confident, more loving. And not valuing your own self-worth leads to a lot of self-neglect and even more poor boundaries. The more you don't value yourself, the more you will allow other people to walk all over you, to cross lines that shouldn't be crossed, and to even be taken advantage of. It can even lead on to this. People thrive where they are valued. When people are appreciated, whether it's at work, whether it's in a relationship, no matter what it is, where people are heavily valued and appreciated, they will tend to go above and beyond for whatever it is that they are doing or what we're talking about. They'll go above and beyond to make sure dinner's ready. They'll go above and beyond to make sure something is set up in a certain type of way. They'll go above and beyond and really do something that they may not really feel energized to do because they feel so appreciated and valued. And once you have those feelings, once you have the feeling of gratitude, intentionality, and clarity on what it is you're bringing to the table and what you want, what you don't want to settle for because you're showing up for yourself in love and appreciation, all of a sudden the energy exchanges that you have in this universe, not just with other people, but even with yourself and your own thoughts, they completely change and improve. So it's really important to kind of assess where you've been for a little while, how you've been feeling, and then open the door of questions as to why. And that is always the most difficult question to ask yourself. And not because you don't know the answer, because a lot of times you're not willing to admit or accept accountability where you need to admit or accept accountability. Listen, it is natural to slip up. It is natural to let yourself go at times. It is natural to have life and its unexpectancies come in and just completely blindside you on occasion. But you need to understand that the less you have appreciation in your life, the more everything around you is going to depreciate and lose its value. So my question to you watching this, what have you been neglecting lately that you know or think if you were to change how you were towards that thing would improve the situation you're in? Because like I mentioned early on, a lot of the feeling of depreciation leads to the physical, whereas the appreciation is feeling good and doing good. That depreciation really takes a toll on the way that you feel. And if you're struggling with that question that I asked about what have you potentially been neglecting in your life, try this exercise. Name 3 things that you have been taking for granted, and all you have to do is write them down and then think of 3 alternative ways to show appreciation. That's it. And remember, it's not about having certain things that should make you feel appreciated, because gratitude turns what you have into enough, no matter how big or how small in the eyes of other people. Just remember, like I said, what you don't appreciate will depreciate. And with all the examples listed in this video, I hope it really opened your eyes to a new way of kind of looking at life if you've been struggling a little bit with feeling a certain sense of value. And furthermore, it's okay. You will get through this. And without a valley, a peak would never exist. So just remember to take the good with the not so good. Give yourself grace through the process and don't get too down on yourself. Life can already be hard enough as it is sometimes. Neglect is expensive, so stop taking things for granted. Thank you so much for your time, and feel free to drop a comment below of something you're gonna be recommitting some appreciation to this week. Other than that, tune back in for another one, and thank you so much for your time every Tuesday and Thursdays, where we drop motivational videos to help motivate you to become the best version of yourself at 8 p.m. Eastern time, baby. Let's go!